BlackRock apply for a Bitcoin ETF, Nike brings Web3 to Fortnite, and Charles Hoskinson is looking for some aliens. Let's get into it. So BlackRock have applied for a Bitcoin ETF. It's going to work the same way as a gold ETF, so it just kind of tracks the price of Bitcoin. I mean, BlackRock have $9.5 trillion worth of assets. I think they could potentially buy every single Bitcoin that exists, which is just like, it's a bit scary, to be honest. It comes at a bit of a weird time, really, because obviously the SEC have been bashing crypto. They're throwing lawsuits at it left, right, and center. And then all of a sudden, the biggest, well, maybe the biggest company in the world come in and go, yeah, we like that. We like a bit of Bitcoin. We like a bit of crypto. We're gonna allow people to trade it, or want people to trade it. And it's up to the SEC to allow it. That's the problem. But the fact that it says here, so they've applied for 576 ETFs, and only one of them has been turned away. So they got a pretty good track record. So to bet against BlackRock would not be a smart move, in my opinion. But like I said, the SEC clearly have an agenda against crypto. A negative one, for sure. Can BlackRock change that agenda? Obviously, there are obviously conspiracies. You know, I say that lightly because there's a lot of evidence to prove that they're not conspiracies, they're actually true. That they're actually, the SEC and BlackRock and other large companies like BlackRock are actually working together. So the idea is that obviously, while the SEC in the last God knows how many years has been bashing crypto, throwing lawsuits at it, just creating FUD after FUD after FUD, which obviously creates fear. It then brings the price down. And while the price is down, BlackRock have secretly been buying crypto, Bitcoin more specifically. They've been buying it at large kind of clumps over, a period of time, just accumulating it. And the theory is obviously that the SEC is purposely being fudding crypto to lower the price so BlackRock can buy up the Bitcoin at a cheaper price. That's the theory. And to be honest, it's now that BlackRock have come out and go, we want a Bitcoin ETF, clearly shows they're for the asset. And if you look at a lot of what the Fed are saying about crypto now and the SEC, it's positive. It's just like, hang on a minute, yeah. All of a sudden, the whole agenda just changes against crypto. Now that BlackRock want to get involved, is it changed because BlackRock want to get involved and they probably hold a higher power over the SEC, or is it because they were working together to begin with, and now that BlackRock have kind of got the amount of Bitcoin they want to accumulate, they can go, yeah, we don't need any more FUD stories from the SEC now. You can change your narrative. And then there's the other theory where the SEC was obviously, their job was to destroy crypto. They're failing to do so. And now the government have brought in BlackRock to finish the job, essentially. So the idea is that, now that BlackRock, potentially could hold a Bitcoin ETF, that gives them a lot of power over Bitcoin. A lot of power to manipulate the market, manipulate prices. And when you hold that kind of power over a certain asset, you probably have the power to destroy it, or at least damage it to a point where it's going to take a while for it to come back to where it is, I guess right now. So there's lots of theories to why this is happening. Some quite scary. I love the price action, don't get me wrong, but at what cost is this price action for? But it still counts as, I guess, mainstream adoption. Maybe, I mean, one of the biggest mainstream adoptions we could have asked for, really, considering how big BlackRock is. But in terms of self-custody and privacy when it comes to Bitcoin, this is probably not the best kind of scenario. But at the same time, if Bitcoin is going to grow and grow and grow, they would have come in at some point anyway. So it's interesting to see how it's going to play out from here. But still excited, but also slightly nervous as well. So Nike brings .swoosh, which is their kind of Web3 kind of side of the business, to Fortnite. I think the idea is that .swoosh have created almost like a big kind of map play area for Fortnite players, and it's almost like a treasure hunt. So the players go out and they have to find things, and I think they're like wearables that they can put on their Fortnite characters, but they won't be NFTs. This is the thing; they're not NFTs this time, but they just call them digital kind of wearables. I think the idea is to. I think Nike are playing it the right way. If it was NFTs, if NFTs was plastered all over this kind of this feature, I think gamers would probably, it wouldn't get them excited, because at the moment still the narrative when it comes to NFTs and gamers is a negative one. Gamers don't like NFTs. And I understand their argument, the fact that, it just brings a kind of money element into games, and it means it kind of ruins ecosystems a bit, where people are not playing the games to have fun, they're just grinding, and prices of things that people might want in terms of the digital collectibles will reach prices that make it unreachable for a lot of players. It just creates a lot, and a lot of gamers don't really want money involved when it comes to games. They just want the games to have fun. But obviously, being in crypto, I understand the benefits of NFTs in games as well. Obviously, the ownership of your assets. Say if you've played a game for a long time and you decide to stop, you have the ability to sell everything you've kind of earned, that you've put hours into earning, to gain something a little bit back. It's probably not going to make a profit, but you can gain something back, maybe that you can use on the game that you move on to. So obviously there's negatives and benefits when it comes to NFTs in games. And I think Nike are playing it slow. I think they want to kind of test the waters, get the kind of ecosystem right first, and players kind of like engaged in what they're creating. And then once they've created like a thriving ecosystem of a large amount of players returning to what they're creating, then they'll slowly start introducing NFTs, maybe to a point where gamers don't even notice they're actually NFTs. Only the people that are interested in the kind of NFT side of it will realize that they're NFTs. I think that's probably how they're going to play it. That's why they've not added NFTs this time, which I think is a smart move considering the narrative right now with NFTs and gamers. But yeah, it's a great company to have at the forefront of pushing Web3 into the kind of gaming industry. I mean, Nike is so powerful at influencing people into buying their shit, essentially. Buying their stuff and getting involved in their, in what they create and things like that, and creating hype as well. They're amazing at that, creating limited items and things like that. Is digital and physical. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting times for me. I personally do want NFTs in games. I'm a big gamer, and I think NFTs will be great for games. And games with NFTs that don't work will simply just not have anyone play them, and then it will force developers to rethink their strategy until they find one that works. And the one that will work will always be the one where people are having fun, but also can earn a little bit in return. They're not going to make, not saying everyone's going to be able to make a profit, because that's not sustainable. It's not going to be sustainable for the developers. They're not going to make any money if they're paying out more money to the players than they're actually earning. But to get a little bit back in return, I think is still obviously a good thing. Charles Hoskinson is going alien hunting. So it's just a bit of fun, this story, really. So Charles just got into a chat online with some people that had found a kind of mysterious bit of wiring at the bottom of an ocean bed somewhere, and he got chatting to them. I think it doesn't really go into depth of what it's about, or why they think it's from an alien ship. But he wants to go on the expedition where they actually go and retrieve it and look at it. And the story is essentially he's getting a bit of backlash from the community. I don't know if it's specifically Cardano community or just crypto in general, that he shouldn't be mucking about with silly hobbies like that. He should be concentrating on Cardano, and developing that. And there's two things wrong with that, in my opinion. One, why does it matter what he does to begin with? He's his own man. He can do he can have his own hobbies. He doesn't really owe anything to, he can do what he wants. He's not hurting anyone by doing that. So why is it a bad thing? And two, Cardano is meant to be decentralized, sorry. And if it's decentralized, then surely the outcome of the product, the asset, ADA, has nothing to do with Charles. Yeah, he was the one that helped create it and founded it, but now that it is fully functional and decentralized, there's no need for him to be a part of it. He could walk away and it'd still work exactly the same way. Yes, it would lose a great mind behind it, for sure. I love Charles Hoskinson, and I like Cardano, but the fact that it is decentralized means he can do whatever he wants, and it won't affect what happens with Cardano and its ecosystem and blockchain, because it can run by itself. That's the whole point of decentralization. So I don't really understand their argument there, but I just thought it was quite an interesting story that kind of provokes a kind of a thought behind decentralization. But yeah, I mean, Charles he's got some wacky things going on, really. I think it says here that he obviously loves his falcons. He's a, what do they call it? A falconer? Is that the falconer? Something like that, where he kind of, commands falcons to do flying tricks and things like that, and lands on his arm and stuff. He's also got a company that's trying to bring back woolly mammoths to life as well, which is super, super weird. And now he's obviously alien hunting. So, I mean, how can you not like the guy? And the thing is, when you have leaders like that with these kind of crazy hobbies and kind of these weird mindsets and things like that, I mean, look at Elon Musk. He's no ordinary CEO, but people love him for it. And that, yeah, it's one of the reasons people love him, because he's not just the normal CEO that does the normal kind of boring stuff. He's out there, and he doesn't care what he says, and he'll do certain things that are completely abnormal to what CEOs usually done. I mean, like when he smoked weed on the Joe Rogan podcast, it's crazy, and people loved him for it. And that was the thing. And it's the same with Charles. I think people that's the reason they gravitate towards him, because he's just so weird and wacky, and he's a good advocate for people to do what they enjoy, whether, regardless of what other people think of them and how weird it is. And yeah, I mean, all power to Charles, and I think this is only a good thing for Cardano, because stories like this just put more eyes on Cardano, which it needs, because that's the one thing it's lacking, is probably marketing. But yeah, no, I just thought I'd add that story at the end. Bitcoin's over 30,000 as well. Woohoo. And yeah, I hope you have a good rest. I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm trying to make them a bit more kind of quick and snappier, not kind of lingering too much, not waffling too much. Hopefully you found this an improvement compared to my last videos. And yeah, I'll leave it there. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and I hope you also have a very good week for the next one. And I'll see you in the next one as well.